The scent that changed. Everything Lee Walker sat alone in the cold engine room of the Nomad Ray, a worn-out cargo ship drifting near the edge of restricted space. Sparks crackled from the pipes above him, but he didn't move. Fixing things kept his hands busy, and his mind away from memories he didn't want to remember. He wasn't a soldier anymore. He wasn't a hero. Now he just patched up broken engines and stayed quiet. But that silence broke when alarms screamed through the ship. Impact. Detected. Object approaching fast, the ship's AI shouted. Eli jumped to his feet. He grabbed a wrench and ran toward the upper deck. Through the small viewing window, he saw a glowing pod crashing through space, spinning wildly. "What the hell is that?" he muttered. The pod hit the outer hull hard but didn't break through. It stuck like a magnet, hissing and sparking. Crew members shouted in panic. Most wanted to shoot it off the ship, but something in Eli's gut told him to stop them. "Don't touch it," he shouted. "I'll handle it." They stared at him but didn't argue. He was a former war vet. They respected that. Eli suited up and entered the airlock. The pod's surface was smooth and warm, humming like it was alive. Slowly, a hatch opened. Inside, lying still and glowing faintly, was a woman, but not human. Her skin shimmered with silver tones. Her eyes were closed, her breathing weak. Her hair floated like silk in zero gravity, and strange tattoos moved across, her arms like living light. A small crown circled her head. Eli whispered, "An alien?" As he reached to check her pulse, her hand shot out and grabbed his collar. She pulled him close. Too close. Her eyes snapped open, glowing bright blue. She sniffed him. Once. Twice. Deep, sharp breaths. Then she whispered one word. Loyalty. And fainted in his arms. Eli dragged the pod into the hidden cargo bay and locked the doors. He laid her gently on a cot, confused and breathing hard. He stared at her. Who was she? Why did she say that word? What did she mean? A low hum filled the room. Suddenly, markings on her skin glowed brighter, and her hand reached out again. This time, her fingers touched his neck. A sharp sting hit him. What the? He backed away and looked in a small mirror on the wall. On his neck, glowing in a circle, was a strange alien mark. It pulsed with light, and it was not going away. A few hours later, she woke again. Her voice was soft, weak. "Where am I?" "Cargo ship, outer zone," Eli said. "You crashed into us." She sat up slowly. "My enemies chased me. They shot my escort down. I had to escape." "Who are you?" "I am Princess Azariah of the Zalari Empire." Eli blinked. "A princess?" "Yes. I followed your scent." The pod locked onto it. He frowned. "My scent?" She nodded. "My kind can smell emotion. Fear, greed, and loyalty. Your scent was the strongest I've ever known. It led me to you." "This mark," Eli said, pointing to his neck. "What did you do to me?" "I marked you. The bond of the loyal. Only the most trusted warriors of my kind are ever chosen. It protects me. And now, it protects you." Eli stepped back. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't choose your scent. It chose me." Outside the ship, small red dots blinked. On the radar, unknown vessels coming closer. Azariah looked up. "They've found me. If they find me, they'll kill you too. The bond makes you a target now." Eli stared at her glowing eyes. "So what do we do?" She stood slowly, weak but proud. "We run, and we fight if we must. But if you stay with Kiros, I promise you'll understand why the galaxy needs someone like you." Eli's fists tightened. He didn't want to be a soldier again, but something inside him knew. He had just stepped into something much bigger than himself. A mark that cannot be erased. Lee Walker didn't sleep that night. He sat in the corner of the dark cargo bay, eyes fixed on the glowing mark on his neck. It pulsed with a soft golden light, warm but strange. No matter how hard he scrubbed, it wouldn't fade. He had been a soldier. He'd seen weapons, scars, and even alien tech, but nothing like this. Nothing that felt alive. Across the room, the alien princess Azariah slept quietly on the cot. Even in rest, she looked royal, dignified and mysterious. The way her silver skin shimmered in the dim lights made it clear. She wasn't human. She wasn't from any place he could understand. Yet she had chosen him, or rather, his loyalty had chosen her. But why? The next morning, Ellie barely noticed the first knock, but the second one made him jump. Eli, the ship's captain, barked through the door. "What the hell was that crash last night? Open up." Eli's heart pounded. He glanced at Azariah. She was already awake and standing. "If they see me," she whispered, "they will alert others. Your ship isn't safe anymore." Eli hesitated. "Hide," he whispered. "I'll handle this." Azariah stepped into the maintenance chamber where tools and wiring could block body heat from scanners. Eli opened the door. The captain stared at him. "What's with the locked cargo bay? And, are you feeling okay? You look pale." Eli nodded. "Just working late. Crashed pod scared the hell out of me, but it was empty. Probably junk, I spaced it." The captain narrowed his eyes. "You sure?" "Yeah," Eli said. "Nothing useful." "Then what's that glowing thing on your neck?" Eli froze. The captain leaned in, suspicious. "Tattoo," Eli lied. "Some old alien tech from the war. Just a side effect." "Well, get some rest," the captain said, stepping back. "We've got scanners pinging movement in nearby space. Might be pirates. Or worse." As the door shut again, Eli turned and looked at the maintenance chamber. Azariah stepped out slowly. "You lied to protect me," she said softly. "I didn't lie for you," Eli snapped. "I lied because I don't want this ship to become a graveyard." She studied him. "The bond is growing stronger." "What does that even mean?" She raised her hand. Light flickered between her fingers, then faded. "Our lives are now linked," she said. "Your loyalty gave me strength when I was dying. Without it, I would have never awakened." "What are you?" Eli asked. "What kind of species smells emotions?" Azariah walked to the small window and stared out at the stars. "The Zalari are more than just a race. We were bred to rule through connection. Our senses evolved over centuries. We don't just sense emotion. We taste it. We feed from it. Loyalty is our lifeblood." "And now my blood is part of that," he said. "Yes," she said. "You're no longer just human. You are marked." Later that day, the ship's radar lit up again. 3 vessels, small, silent, closing in fast. Azariah went stiff. "Those aren't pirates, those are scent hunters." "What are scent hunters?" "They track bonds like mine. They work for the traitors who tried to kill me." Eli didn't. "Wait." He grabbed his old jacket, still hanging from the days of war. He hadn't worn it in years, but the fit still worked. "We have to go," he said. "They'll scan the ship, they'll find you. And if they do..." Azariah nodded. "Then, we both die." The Escapili led her through the lower decks using old maintenance shafts. They moved past sleeping crew, past quiet control rooms until they reached the hangar bay. A small shuttle, barely functional, sat at the far end. Eli punched the code. The door opened with a rusty hiss. Azariah hesitated. "You trust me?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "I don't need to trust you, I can feel you." They entered the shuttle. As it lifted off, red beams struck the side of the Nomad Ray. The enemy ships had arrived. "They're boarding," Eli shouted. Azariah's hands glowed. She focused, and the shuttle cloaked midair, vanishing from scanners. "That'll hide us for now," she said, breathing hard. "But not forever." They flew into the black sky, stars stretching out in every direction. Eli sat back, hands shaking. On the controls, he had just left behind the only life he knew. "Where are we going?" he asked. Azariah looked at the screen. "There's a place, a moon. It's where Zalari royalty are tested for loyalty. It's protected by ancient guardians. If you pass the trial there, no traitor can break our bond." Eli laughed nervously. "A test? What kind of test?" She looked at him. One that will push every part of you, your body, your heart, your soul. And if you fail, we both die. Eli looked out the window again, the stars now colder than ever. Escape through the burning skies, the stolen shuttle flew through the dark stretch of stars, silent and cloaked. Eli Walker sat in the pilot seat staring straight ahead, eyes sharp but tired. His hands were steady, but his heart beat like a war drum. He had just left his crew behind. Left behind the only ship he had called home for the past 6 years. Now, he was flying through enemy territory, with a glowing mark on his neck and a royal alien princess beside him. Azariah, the princess of the Zalari Empire, sat behind him, her silver skin dim in the low lights. She looked calm, but Eli knew better. Every few minutes she coughed, quietly but sharp, the kind of cough that spoke of pain. "You're getting worse," Eli said without turning around. "It's the bond," she replied. "It needs to be balanced. Your loyalty feeds it, but your body is still human. What happens if it stays unbalanced?" She paused. "Then I die. And if I die while we're still linked, you won't survive either." Eli didn't answer. He stared at the nav screen. One red dot blinked behind them. Still following. Quiet but closing in. 30 minutes later, alarms beeped. The shuttle shook. "We've been found," Eli said. Azariah leaned forward. "They're using pulse tracers. They can smell energy trails." "We've got one option left," Eli muttered. "The trial moon. Hold tight." He turned the ship toward a red planet wrapped in thunderclouds. It spun slowly, glowing with strange energy. Ancient ruins lit its surface like veins of fire. Azariah's voice was calm. "This place is sacred. No one enters unless called." "And we're just going to knock?" Eli said. She placed a hand on the glowing mark on his neck. It pulsed. The clouds parted as the shuttle approached, as if the planet itself recognized her presence. They descended into the storm. Surface of the trial moon. The landing was rough. Wind howled. Red lightning cracked across the sky. The ground was cracked stone and twisted metal from long-dead machines. Statues of lion-faced warriors stood buried in sand. Eli stepped out of the shuttle. The air was heavy, like it was pressing, into his lungs. Azariah followed him, weak but focused. "This is the field of vows," she said. "My ancestors were tested here. Only the truly loyal survive." "Tested how?" Eli asked. "Not by fighting," she said. "By being known." Eli frowned. "What does that mean?" Before she could answer, the ground shook. From the stone floor, a huge circle of glowing symbols lit up. And from the center rose a massive figure, 8 feet tall, metal skin, burning red eyes. "State your vow," the machine voice echoed. Eli blinked. "My what?" Azariah looked at him. "You must make a vow, something only the loyal can keep. The guardian will judge your soul. If it finds lies in you, it will destroy us both." The guardian's eyes flared brighter. "State your vow." Eli took a breath. His mind raced. He thought about the war, about friends he lost, about orders he followed that destroyed villages, about running from all of it. Then he looked at Azariah. "I vowed to protect her," he said, "even if the whole galaxy turns against us, even if she doesn't choose me in the end. I'll stand by her." Silence. For a full minute, nothing happened. Then the ground shook again. The guardian's voice boomed. Truth detected. Loyalty confirmed. The red eyes dimmed. The giant bowed its head and vanished into the stone. Azariah's legs gave out. She collapsed. Eli rushed to her side. "What's wrong?" "The trial burned the weakness out of me," she whispered. "But it also took your energy. You gave too much." Eli's vision blurred. His knees hit the ground. The sky above them darkened. From the clouds, 3 enemy ships descended, sleek, black, and silent. "They followed us," Eli groaned. Azariah looked up, her eyes filled with fire. "Then let them come." Above the moon, The enemy ships opened fire, but the trial moon reacted. Giant. Statues burst from the ground, firing beams of ancient light. The moon itself protected them. One ship crashed. The others turned back. Eli, barely awake, watched as glowing shapes circled his vision. Spirits or guardians whispering things he couldn't understand. Azariah held his hand. You passed, Eli Walker. You gave more than any warrior I've ever known. And now, the galaxy will feel it. Later in the shuttle, Eli woke up slowly. His mark had changed. It now spread across his shoulder, glowing like armor. Azariah sat beside him. You're not just Mark now, she said. You're bonded. Your name will never be forgotten among my people. Eli sat up. What does that mean for me? She smiled. It means you are no longer running. You are chosen. Outside, the trial moon faded into the stars behind them. Ahead, uncharted space, danger, and a destiny neither of them fully understood. A trial of fire and shadows. The stars above were quiet again. But inside the shuttle, Eli Walker felt anything but peace. His body was sore. The alien mark now spread from his neck to his shoulder, glowing faintly like a low-burning flame. His fingers sometimes shook without warning, and dreams came every time he closed his eyes. Dreams of voices, distant wars, and a throne of light. Azariah sat across from him, eyes closed, fingers laced in silent prayer. Her silver skin was slowly regaining its strength. The bond between them had grown stronger, and though neither said it out loud, they could now feel each other's emotions, not as clear words but as waves, fear, anger, resolve. But something darker was growing too. We need to go somewhere safe, Eli said. Somewhere far from bounty ships and gods with swords. Azariah shook her head. There's no safe place left, Eli. If we run now, they will hunt us to the edges of the galaxy. Then what do we do? She opened her eyes. We train. We finish the bond. We prepare for war. The Forge Moon. Valtor Azariah led them to a distant, uncharted system where a planet shimmered with glowing rivers and burning skies. The surface was covered in black stone, rising towers and long-dead machines half buried in the rock. This is Valtor, she said. Long ago, Zalari kings came here to learn the old ways. Fire, shadow, and loyalty were tested here. Eli looked out the window. The planet seemed alive, pulsing, twitching like it was waiting for them. This place doesn't look friendly. It isn't, she said. But if you want to survive what's coming, you need to become more than loyal. You need to become dangerous. The test begins. They landed near a black tower surrounded by molten rivers. A giant gate stood at the base, shaped like a roaring beast with eyes that flickered. As they approached, the gate opened on its own. I hate when things open by themselves, Eli muttered. Inside, the air was thick and hot. Torches lit without flames. The walls seemed to shift when no one looked directly at them. Azariah turned to him. From here on, you must go alone. I can't help you. What kind of training is this? Eli asked. She touched his chest, right over the glowing mark. Your bond is power, but the fear inside you will twist it unless you face it. Inside this tower, your fears will take shape, and they will try to kill you. Before he could argue, the floor under him cracked, and he fell. Inside, the Trialili hit the ground hard. When he looked up, he was no longer in the tower. He was in the middle of a battlefield from his past, one he had hoped to forget. The bodies of his old unit lay scattered. Smoke burned his lungs. Explosions echoed in the distance. And there, walking toward him, was a man he hadn't seen in years, Captain Rhodes. The man who had ordered the strike on innocent civilians during the war. The man Eli had failed to stop. You always said you were loyal, the captain snarled. But you were weak. You followed orders. You let them die. You're not real, Eli said, clenching his fists. But the guilt is, the captain whispered. Suddenly, the dead around him rose, twisted, half-burned soldiers with hollow eyes. They walked toward him, slow and steady. The mark on Eli's chest began to glow brighter. I didn't kill them, Eli shouted. But I will carry them. His hands lit up with fire. His loyalty turned into strength. He fought. Back in the real world, Azariah stood outside the tower, waiting. The ground rumbled every few minutes. She could feel his pain through the bond, sharp bursts of memory, regret, and fury. A shadow moved behind her. You shouldn't have brought him here. Azariah spun around. A tall figure stood in the smoke. Her cousin, Lord Phelan, dressed in royal armor, eyes cold as frost. You betrayed the throne, she hissed. No, he said. I saved it. The bond you've made with that human, it's a curse. The ancient ways are dying. Your rule must end. He's not just a human, she replied. He's more loyal than any Zalari I've ever known. Phelan raised his hand. Then let's see how long he stays alive. Back inside the tower, Ely now stood in a white room, calm, empty. A child walked toward him, himself as a boy. Why did you stop dreaming? The boy asked. Because dreaming hurts? Eli answered. The boy nodded. But it's the only way to grow. Eli fell to his knees. The boy placed a hand on his head. Light exploded from Eli's chest. The mark changed again, now covering half his body, like armor made of light and stone. The Returnelli burst out of the tower, eyes burning with fire. His voice was calm, but his presence had changed. His steps were heavier, his aura brighter. Azariah ran to him, but before they could speak, a blast hit the ground beside them. Phelan stood nearby, an army of loyalist warriors behind him. You passed your trial, he said. Good. Now let's see if you can survive war. Eli stepped forward. I don't want your war, he said. But if you touch her, I'll end it. His new armor flared with energy, and even Phelan stepped back. Azariah stood beside him. Then let it begin. Enemies in royal skin, the Forge Moon, burned behind them as Eli Walker and Princess Azariah flew through open space once more. The bond between them pulsed brighter now, glowing lines of gold that wrapped across his chest, down his arms and around, her wrists like light-borne chains. Eli had passed the trial of fire and shadows, but something inside him knew the real test was still coming. We're going home, Azariah said quietly, staring out at the stars. To the capital. You sure they'll accept you back? Eli asked. She hesitated. Not all of them. But the throne recognizes blood. The Empire will listen, if we speak first. And if they don't, then we remind them why loyalty still matters. The capital of Zalari, Varemthas, their ship descended. Eli saw it. An alien city of towers made from crystal and living stone, built into the cliffs of a massive floating continent. Waterfalls poured into the clouds below. Light flowed through the buildings like rivers of fire. Every corner of Varemth whispered power. But Eli felt something else too. Eyes. Watching. Judging. Waiting. As they landed, a small group of royal guards stood ready. They wore red armor with black masks. In the center stood a woman, tall, silver-skinned like Azariah, but colder. Her hair was sharp like blades of metal, and her eyes carried no warmth. Azariah stepped forward. Sister, she said. Azariah, the woman replied. We thought you were dead. I nearly was, she said. Traitors chased me, bounty hunters tracked me, but I returned. With a human, her sister said, eyeing Eli. Unmarked. Unworthy. Azariah's voice sharpened. He bears the mark. The sister's eyes narrowed. Then may the throne judge him. Inside the throne chamber, the royal hall was massive, round with silver walls and a dome that held a burning star inside it. The throne sat on a platform of light, guarded by ancient machines. As Eli walked forward with Azariah, whispers filled the room. Nobles, commanders, and lords of the empire stared at him. A human, marked, chosen. The High Council called for silence. An elder, dressed in robes that glowed with age, stood. Princess Azariah, the elder said, you claim to have formed a bond with a human outsider. Do you bring proof of his loyalty? Azariah stepped back. Eli stepped forward alone. "I don't have words that will impress you," he said, "but I stood by her when no one else did. I fought for her. I bled for her. And I'll do it again even if you all decide to throw me out the nearest airlock." Some nobles laughed. Others looked shocked. "Let the throne decide," the elder said. From the ceiling, beams of light scanned Eli. The mark on his body glowed brighter, brighter, until the chamber was full of warmth. The throne accepted him. He had passed again. The betrayal, but in the shadows above the chamber, Lord Phelan watched. He wasn't alone. Azariah's sister stood beside him. "He's gaining power too fast," she said. "Then we take it back," Phelan whispered. From the inside, that night in the quiet of a royal guest chamber, Eli stood alone at the window. Stars blinked in the distance, but he couldn't sleep. The feeling of being surrounded by people who smiled but wanted him gone. It was familiar. Then he heard footsteps. Azariah entered. Her face was tired. "You impressed them today," she said. "Doesn't feel like it. They fear what they don't understand. They fear you too." Azariah looked down. "Good. They should." Just as she turned to leave, an explosion rocked the palace. Alarms screamed. The lights flickered. Eli grabbed her arm. "Was that?" "An attack," she said. "But not from outside." The hidden chamber, they ran through the halls. Guards lay stunned, not killed. Someone didn't want death, only confusion. Eli followed Azariah to a hidden elevator behind the throne. It led down deep into the heart of the palace, into a place few even knew existed. "What is this?" he asked. "The Blood Vault," she said. "Where the throne's true power lives, only royals may enter." But when the doors opened, they found someone already there. Azariah's sister, standing in front of the vault. "You were always too soft," the sister said. "You let feelings blind you. You brought a human into our bloodline." "You betrayed me," Azariah said. "No, I saved us. The bond mark was never meant to be shared with outsiders. It weakens the old blood. And now I'll fix that mistake." She raised her hand, and the blood vault began to open. Inside, a glowing core of red energy, pulsing like a living heart. Azariah stepped forward, but the sister struck her down with a blast of pure force. Eli rushed to her, but it was too late. The core flared. The sister reached into it, and the palace trembled. Awakening of the throne, the ancient throne system activated. A voice echoed. "Loyalty. Corrupted." Guards ran. Alarm screamed louder. Azariah coughed blood. Eli looked at the core, and at his own mark. It glowed. It answered. He stepped into the vault, his mark glowing brighter than anything in the room. And the throne recognized him, not as an outsider, not even as a warrior, but as the true bonded guardian. A beam of golden energy struck him, and the mark covered his body completely. His voice deepened, full of energy not his own. "You wanted loyalty?" He shouted at the sister, "Then face the one chosen by it." War of the loyal and the liars, the capital of Virempth stood still, just for a breath. Then everything fell into chaos. From the heart of the blood vault, golden light burst through the stone walls. Alarm screamed, the air shook. Above the city, the floating towers dimmed, and down below, streets filled with fire and shadows. Eli Walker stood inside the vault, barely breathing. His body now glowed with golden armor, pulsing with power from the throne's core. His eyes shined bright like twin suns. The alien mark had fully awakened, not just across his chest but running down both arms, legs, and even his back. Living light flowed through him now. Azariah lay on the ground behind him, wounded, her breath shallow. "Stay with me," he said, dropping to his knees beside her. She looked at him weakly. "You called the throne." "It answered," Eli said. Azariah smiled faintly. "Then you are truly one of us." But before he could reply, the room exploded in movement. Azariah's sister returned, now infused with blood energy. Her body flickered red and her voice was no longer hers alone. It echoed with 1,000 ancient voices. "You don't understand what you've done," she hissed. "You let the throne awaken early. It's not meant for you. You are not pure." "And you are?" Eli stood. "You betrayed your blood, your people, your sister." "I did what had to be done." "No," Eli said, stepping forward. "You did what served you. The uprising begins outside the palace. Fire spread. Royal banners were torn down. Airships turned against each other in the sky. Half the royal army followed the traitors. The other half was confused, afraid. But one signal cut through the fear. A beam of golden light shooting from the palace roof into the sky. It was a sign of royal awakening. It hadn't been seen in generations, and it came from a human. Inside, the blood Voltelli raised his hand. Golden light surged. Azariah's sister rushed forward, her arms glowing with red flames. They collided in a blast of power that cracked the stone beneath their feet. Energy howled. Shadows screamed. Sparks flew through the vault. "You think loyalty makes you strong?" she shouted. "No," Eli said, pushing back. "I know it saves people." She struck him again. Red blades formed from her fingers. Eli blocked them with glowing shields that grew from his arms like wings. They clashed again and again, until both were thrown apart by a final pulse of energy. A turning point, Azariah pulled herself to her feet, holding the side of the throne. "Eli," she shouted. "The bond, use it." Eli closed his eyes, and then he felt it. Her pain, her love, her belief in him. It wrapped around his heart like fire. The bond flared. Golden vines of energy rushed out from him, spreading through the chamber, over the throne, through the walls, and up to the roof, and in the city. People saw it. Those loyal to the old ways dropped their weapons. Those unsure chose sides. And most followed the light. War in the streets rebels launched attacks on every royal outpost. The skies turned red with blasts. Towers fell. Hovercraft crashed in flames, but then the golden mark appeared, projected across the sky like a symbol of hope. "The chosen one lives," they whispered. "The throne has picked a new protector. He is not of blood, but of loyalty." And, slowly, the tide began to turn. Azariah, despite her injuries, rallied her guards. She sent messages through secret channels, calling all who still believed in her family's honor, and they answered. Final battle in the throne room. Ellie stood again, facing her sister. They were both scarred now. Their energy was low, but only one could carry the throne's will. "You're strong," the sister whispered. "Too strong for a human." "I stopped being just human," Eli said, "the moment I chose to stand with her." She charged with one last scream, but this time Eli didn't fight alone. Azariah reached out and joined hands with him. Their bond flared, one half gold, one half silver, and together, they struck. The traitor sister was thrown back, crashing, through the stone gate, vanishing into smoke. The throne glowed. It accepted them both. Aftermath, the city calmed, the fighting stopped. Azariah stood before her people, crown repaired, cloak restored. Eli stood beside her, not as a guard, not as a servant, but as a chosen mate, bonded by something greater than blood. "This is not the end," she said, "but a beginning. Our strength is not in blood alone, but in loyalty freely given. And today, it saved us all." And the crowd bowed, not just to her, but to both of them. The mate of the crown, the city of Varempth, was still burning in places, but now it burned with light, not war. People were rebuilding towers, banners with new colors flew from broken windows. Children walked safely through streets that only a day ago were filled with fire and fear. But deep inside the royal palace, Eli Walker faced a storm greater than any battle. He stood in front of the ancient throne of the Zalari Empire. Its surface no longer glowed red with blood loyalty, but gold, with the mark of the bond he shared with Princess Azariah. The council chambers behind him were full. Hundreds of alien nobles had gathered. not to argue, but to witness. Azariah stepped forward. Dressed in ceremonial armor, her silver skin glowed in the light of the throne. Her voice was calm but carried like thunder. "We nearly lost everything," she said. "Our honor, our future, and the meaning of our bond." She turned toward Eli. But this man, this human, stood beside me when everyone else turned away. He fought not for power, but for something our kind forgot. Loyalty. The crowd stayed silent. Azariah stepped to the side of the throne, and now the bond calls for something final, something eternal. She extended her hand to Eli. "Join me, not as a guard, not as a servant, but as mate to the crown." Silence. Eli's heart thundered in his chest. This was the moment. But behind the honor, he saw what it really meant. If he accepted, he would never return to Earth. He would never again be just Eli Walker, the soldier, the loner, the man who fixed broken machines in silence. He would become something alien, something royal. He would carry a responsibility to an entire empire, and even more terrifying, he would carry her heart. He looked at Azariah. She didn't beg. She didn't push. She simply waited, because that was who she was now, strong enough to let him choose freely. Then the whisper came. From deep in the throne, a voice, older than time, echoed in Eli's mind. One final trial. Loyalty must choose or be lost forever. The ground shook. The air turned cold. Everyone stepped back. Azariah spun, alarmed. "The throne? It's not done with us." From the center of the chamber, the floor cracked and a shape rose from the stone, a creature made of light and shadow, not living, not machine. The throne guardian. Its voice rang out. "Eli Walker, you stand on the edge of choice. If your heart carries doubt, the bond will shatter. The empire will fall back into war." Eli stepped forward, his voice steady. "What do I have to do?" "Walk into the memory chamber. Face the life you left behind. Choose your past or your future." Azariah looked at him, her hand still open. "Whatever you choose, I won't stop you." Inside the chamber, Eli entered the glowing doorway. The world around him melted into vision. He was back on Earth. His old unit stood around a fire. His commander offered him a drink. His sister, dead in the war, stood smiling, alive in this illusion. They welcomed him, they missed him, and deep down, part of him wanted to stay. A life without war, without aliens, without pressure, just a normal human life. But then, he turned, and in the sky above that peaceful Earth, he saw stars, and in those stars, Azariah's face, her eyes full of fire. Her hand still waiting, he whispered. "I didn't survive all that to hide again." And he walked through the illusion, back to the throne. The return, he stepped back into the chamber. Azariah stood there, no longer just a princess, but the future of a people. He took her hand. The crowd gasped. The throne exploded in light. The mark on Eli's body rose into the air, gold and silver blending together. The entire chamber bathed in its glow. Above the palace, the sky shifted. Ships turned, satellites aligned, and across the empire, millions of beings saw it. A new beginning. Months later, Eli stood on a balcony, armor polished, eyes on the stars. He was still human, but more. He had a title now, guardian consort. His name had become a symbol of peace. Azariah joined him, her hand resting in his. "They say you're the most loyal being in the galaxy," she said, teasing. "They haven't met you yet." He smiled. Below them, construction crews rebuilt what war had broken, but above them, the stars no longer looked cold. They looked like home,